Welcome to I Wrote This News. Today is February 3rd, 2022. Open wide, here comes a spoonful of news headlines. Story number 1, Bizzaro Tax World. Believe it or not, plenty of American corporations do better than paying no federal taxes. That's right, some companies enjoy a negative tax rate, meaning that despite earning a profit, the federal government pays them instead of the other way around. The statutory federal tax rate for corporate profits is 21%, and 55 corporations pulled in nearly $40.5 billion in U.S. pre-tax income in 2020. But instead of paying a collective total of $8.5 billion for the year, a tax rate of 21%, they receive $3.5 billion in tax rebates. That's an effective tax rate of about -9%. The median household pays about $15,000 in federal income tax on an income of about $69,000. If they were treated the same way these large companies were, those families would be receiving about $6,000 rather than paying $15,000. Here are some of the companies who got money from the feds last year instead of paying taxes on their profits: Charter Communications, Salesforce, Dish Network, American Electric Power, Xcel Energy, Consolidated Edison, FedEx, HP, Duke Energy, Booz Allen Hamilton, Penske Automotive Group, and Archer Daniels Midland. Story number 2, this time it wasn't the eggs that got scrambled. An innocent Christmas present turned into a nightmare for an Ohio couple, who learned through an at-home DNA test that the child they had raised for 28 years was not biologically related to her father. A new lawsuit claims Mike and Jeanine Harvey underwent an artificial insemination procedure at Summa Akron City Hospital in 1991, resulting in the birth of their daughter, Jessica, the next year. They never suspected anything was amiss and raised their daughter in keeping with her father's Italian heritage. Like Harvey said, his daughter even took Italian in high school and practiced speaking it with her paternal grandmother. Nearly 3 decades later, Jessica decided to travel to Italy, and her parents purchased her an online DNA test so she could find and connect with any distant relatives still living across the Atlantic. But when the results came back, they showed no Italian roots in Jessica's genealogy. In fact, they suggested she was not biologically related to her father at all. After some genealogical sleuthing, the family was able to track down a man who appeared to be Jessica's biological father. Contacted by the family, the man confirmed that he and his wife had been patients of the same doctor, Nicholas Spurtos, in 1991, but had never conceived a child. Paternity testing confirmed that the man was indeed her biological father. Dr. Spurtos did not respond to a request for comment sent through his office. Story number 3, can we keep some of the mask mandates forever? Rudy the Tootster Giuliani was unmasked as a booted contestant in last week's taping of Fox's popular primetime series, The Masked Singer. Deadline reported that as soon as they saw Giuliani, judges Ken Jeong and Robin Thicke quickly left the stage in protest. The show, of which I have never heard, is known for its jaw-dropping surprises when celebrity contestants shed their headpieces after they are eliminated. The reaction to Giuliani was perhaps the most polarizing the show has seen since 2020. The Masked Singer faced criticism then when another controversial Republican politician, Sarah Palin, was unveiled as the bear. Following the 2020 presidential election, Giuliani represented Trump in many lawsuits filed in attempts to overturn the election results, making false and debunked allegations about rigged voting machines, polling place fraud, and an international communist conspiracy. As a consequence, his license to practice law was suspended in New York State in June 2021 and in the District of Columbia in July 2021. Story number 4, for Bezos, size matters. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' super yacht is so darned big that it will be stuck in its shipyard unless Rotterdam dismantles part of its historic Koningshaven Bridge. Developed by Dutch custom yacht builder Oceanco, the ship comes out to an estimated 127 meters, or 417 feet, in length. When completed, the Colossus will become the world's largest sailing yacht, according to Boat International. In fact, the yacht is so big that it is reported to have its own support yacht. Oceanco reportedly approached Rotterdam's municipality and requested the bridge's dismantling because its 40-meter clearance isn't tall enough to accommodate the yacht's 3 gargantuan masts. Oceanco and Bezos have reportedly offered to fund the dismantling themselves. We're not saying that Bezos' desire to build the world's largest sailing yacht reflects some sort of Freudian issue about his masculinity. I mean, who's to say? But just take another look at Amazon's logo. As an aside, despite generating almost $45 billion in profits between 2018 and 2020, Amazon paid less than $2 billion in U.S. federal income tax. That's an effective tax rate of less than 5%. Now it's time for On This Date in History. On this date in 1690, the colony of Massachusetts issues the first paper money in the Americas. On this date in 1809, the territory of Illinois is created by the 10th United States Congress. On this date in 1870, The 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution is ratified, guaranteeing voting rights to male citizens regardless of race. Women finally gained that right, more than 50 years later. On this date in 1913, the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution is ratified, authorizing the federal government to impose and collect an income tax. Apparently, the feds still haven't quite figured out how to avoid offering negative tax rates to some profitable companies. On this date in 1966, the Soviet Union's Luna 9 becomes the first spacecraft to make a soft landing on the moon, and the first spacecraft to take pictures from the surface of the moon. On this date in 1971, New York police officer Frank Serpico is shot during a drug bust in Brooklyn and survives to later testify against police corruption. On this date in 1995, astronaut Eileen Collins becomes the first woman to pilot the space shuttle as mission STS-63 gets underway from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Celebrating birthdays today are footballer and sportscaster Fran Tarkenton, actors Blythe Danner, Morgan Fairchild, and Nathan Lane, golfer Jim Thorpe, economist Greg Mankiw, the fraudster who was out for a little bit of blood and a lot of money, Elizabeth Holmes, and singer-songwriter Sean Kingston. Happy birthday to all of them, and if your birthday is today, a very happy birthday to you as well. By the way, if you or someone you know is having a birthday and would like us to announce it on the show, leave us a voice message or send an email. The links are in the show notes. Today's news was brought to us by The Street, The Daily Beast, Deadline, Gizmodo, The New Statesman, and the Simon to our Garfunkel, Wikipedia. If you have a comment or a question about anything you've heard today, or if you have a suggestion, please send us a note at IWTN, all one word, at thatradioshow.com. That email address one more time is IWTN, all one word, at thatradioshow.com.
One more thing, if this podcast sounds a little funny, that's because it's also an experiment. All of the vocals were generated using AI technology. Hopefully the show will sound different and better as the tech improves and as we improve at using it. I'm Bob Neese, hoping you have an amazing day. We'll get together again soon.